Welcome to another episode of Two Old Geeks Talking. Now on the World Wide Web.
Hey, welcome back to Two Old Geeks Talking. I'm Rob.
I'm Trace.
And today we are talking about forgotten heroes.
Forgotten heroes. So you picked that subject. Tell me about forgotten heroes. What are forgotten heroes? Let me guess.
Okay.
Heroes that have been forgotten.
Well, the thing is like you just mentioned a while ago in one of our other videos, the Geeks speak about Vigilante.
Yeah.
At one time, he was a forgotten hero.
You're true.
Nobody knew about it.
Yeah, right.
But to me, when I was younger, he was like the bomb for me.
Yeah, the only reason I knew anything about him or remembered him was because you were such a big fan.
I mean, they even made toys and action figures of him. But he's not one of the characters we're talking about. That's just an example. Darn. Okay. So I'm going to bring up a few. I could sit here and we could do an episode on each one of these characters.
Yeah.
Or I could just do a whole episode on 20 or 30. But we're just going to cover like my top 3 favorites.
Gotcha.
And if this is popular, we can do another episode about it or add to it or make it into a collection of videos.
Cool.
However y'all want to do it. I'm easy. So the first forgotten hero is Death Head.
I remember Death's Head. Now, was he like whenever Marvel was trying to do some UK comics, like somebody from Brit, so like some comics from Britain? Is that right?
Yes, you're exactly right. It was called Marvel UK. So they brought over some characters from the UK Marvel universe over to America.
Yeah.
And little success with any of them. None of the characters really did that.
I like the look of Death's Head. He looked pretty awesome.
Okay, so Death Head is kind of an enigma in a way because it's kind of a controversy because he started out in Transformer comic books. He was literally like the size of Transformers.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a mercenary, but he wouldn't call himself a mercenary. He calls himself a freelance law enforcement agent or something like that. He doesn't like
the sound of it.
Yeah. So basically, he was hired to take down Obertron or something. I don't know. Megatron's daddy, or I'm not a Transformer fan.
Yeah.
So anyway, eventually, but before he made his appearance in the Transformer comic books, Marvel put him in another comic book because they wanted the rights to him. If they had been in the Transformer comic books, then Hasbro would have had the rights to him.
Oh.
So
Hasbro had the rights. There'd be a dozen toys made of it.
Right. So, but they wanted to keep the rights to him because for some reason they liked the guy.
Yeah.
So, throughout his career, he went from being a mercenary in Transformers to eventually becoming a character in the Doctor Who comic books.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Doctor Who actually shrank him down to human size, and people actually thinks that perhaps Doctor Who was the one who dropped him off in our Marvel universe, where he was supposed to be taken out, or no, he dropped him on top of the Reed Richards building.
Yeah, Fantastic Four.
Yeah. And so he started battling them out of a mistaken identity or whatever.
Yeah, of course.
But anyway, so he's been in multiple comic books, had his own line. And
did he ever make a toy of him?
So the old one, I don't know that they've ever made toys of the old one. Not that I've seen.
Yeah.
I'm trying to, let me see. His writer was, I don't want to forget anybody. His name was Simon Furman.
I tell you, I remember
Art Geoff.
I remember there was an artist that really got his start drawing Death's Head. That's one of my favorite artists is Liam Sharp.
Mm-hmm.
And man, that guy could draw. But I think that was one of the reasons I started liking Death's Head, simply because of Liam Sharp's art.
But he first came into popularity, or first came into the comic books back in '87. But in '93 is when I started reading him, because there came out a new line of comic books called Death Head 2.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this was the time that Predator was big, Terminator was big, or not Predator, but Aliens was big.
Yeah, yeah.
So they made a character called a minion. He was like this scientific lab guy that traveled through time, kind of like Doctor Who. But he had like 120 people that he was supposed to absorb their powers and knowledge. And Deathhead was one of them. So, but the problem with Deathhead was he don't have a soul to absorb. So he killed Deathhead.
Yeah.
But when he killed Deathhead, Deathhead basically overwrote whatever
I'm with you.
his programming.
Yeah.
And literally took over this new body. So
that
now
was
we have a brand new Deathhead that looks like a combination of the Predator versus Alien versus
that's when I started
weird
liking
stuff. Yeah,
But that was a good way for them to redesign that character.
it was pretty smart.
Yeah, but it was a little bit of a reach. But
Right.
it was a good way for them to say, okay, I like the character, but I want to change it.
Right. So I really, really like that character, and I don't even know. I haven't looked into it, but I don't even know why they just kind of just up and stopped with him.
Yeah.
And so that's a character I think that is a forgotten hero / hero, not hero, maybe.
Yeah. Anti-hero.
Yeah, anti-hero.
You got big hair on your chest.
Dude, you always de-shed me.
Hey, man, I'll get you back.
So the next comic book I was interested in was The Max.
Yeah. Sam Keith.
Exactly. So Sam Keith made The Max back in '83.
That was part of Image.
Right. It was part of Image. I actually got his signature on the first issue
Oh,
of
yeah?
The Max.
Yeah, you talk about a wild art style.
Yes.
Yeah, I liked it, but it definitely wasn't for everybody.
No, it was kind of outside the norm, and the story kind of went outside the norm. So basically, he's a homeless guy that lives in a box in this realm. There's another realm called the Outback, and basically, the young lady, her name is Julie. She was a victim of sexual assault when she was younger, and so she kind of lives in two different realms. The one here that we're in, and she's a social worker, and she's trying to help everybody else. But when life gets too hard, she's got this other world she's created, and somehow the Max is in both of them. And in the other realms, she's considered the Leopard Queen, and he is her protector. And so he kind of flashes back between worlds, and he never knows which one he's in. And so it's kind of a really psychological thing.
And the Max looks bizarre.
He's
He's got those big teeth on him.
Right.
Yeah,
So basically, that's a mask he put on, and he just decided to wear it for now. That's not like what he's really built like.
Yeah.
But the villain was Mr. Gone, which was in this reality her uncle who had assaulted her. But in the other realm, he's somebody else. Come to find out, there's this young girl she tries to help, and it's actually her father, so she don't know that this is her cousin, and it's a big twisted thing. But dude, it was so popular, and what was it, the 80s? The 90s, the late 90s.
Yeah.
That MTV did a whole cartoon series of them.
Yeah.
There was tons of toys. I'll show you those. Blam, blam, blam. So, and I've got one of the main toys, like the Max.
Oh yeah, do you?
Haven't even taken him out of the box. And I've always looked for one. The one I've got comes with a white is. It's little white characters.
Yeah.
They're like little demons. And if you can find one that has a black is, it's supposed to be like super rare.
That's supposed to be some variant.
Right. Yeah.
I never was a huge fan of Max, but I always liked Sam Keith's art just because it was so bizarre. Like I remember when he worked for Marvel, he did like a Ghost Rider versus Wolverine comic.
Yeah.
And just the way he drew those guys was just, it was almost, it was like between comic art / graffiti is how I would describe it.
That's why I love the cartoon, because it was almost like taking that art and putting it. I mean, it was like taking that art and putting it in motion.
Yeah.
So to see, and the way that man if you look at these comic book pages, the way those pages are broke up
Mm-hmm.
is not like any other comic book you've ever read. The
I like that.
shapes of those are different.
Yeah, I like people that step outside the box.
I mean, he was a unique.
I wonder if he
developer.
does anything now.
I don't
I
know.
don't either.
But anyway, love the character, love the comic book series. But he's a forgotten hero. Nobody in this day and age remembers him, and I think it's a damn shame. So, the third and final one that I've come up with, and this is reaching back, and I understand this is why he's forgotten, but we're talking about a person that was in radio shows, in comic books, in 10 different movies, and nobody even knows him. You might know him, The Shadow.
Yeah, we've talked about him on Geek Speak.
So the reason I love The Shadow is because like a decade before we had Batman and Superman,
Yeah,
we had The Shadow, which is basically what Batman was based after. He was a rich guy who fought crime at night. Of course, he went to those mysterious Tibetan people to learn his
Yes.
skills.
yes. I
Because
should go to Tibet.
we need to go to Tibet. I don't know what the
we'll be
hell's
very
in Tibet.
mysterious.
But
Yes, we're pretty mysterious now, but we'll be even more mysterious if we go to Tibet.
he started out in magazines. The writer was Walter Gibson in 1930.
Yeah, I used to. Don't ask me why, but because I'm mysterious. But I was doing some yard work when I first retired, and I would turn on those old radio shows, and I found myself listening to the old Shadow radio shows.
Right.
With Orson Welles did a lot of them,
Yes, he
narration.
did a lot of them.
And I listened to everyone I could find. A lot of them are on YouTube. And I mean, they're dated, but it takes you back to a time, while I was working and while I was listening to them. I imagine, some kids, like we were kids once, gathering around a big radio at a certain time of week, to hear the Shadow radio show.
Right.
And that was their little dose of geek, and so... and I've actually seen a few people cosplay as the Shadow at Comic Cons, but they're always old dudes. Yeah, nobody young remembers. Now they had a movie called The Shadow.
So Alec Baldwin was
yeah.
in a movie in the, I want to say, 90s, early 90s, late 80s.
He's a guy I'd like to stand behind,
Why's that?
because you stand in front of him, he'll shoot you.
Shit. It was an accident. I know it was an accident, Alec. I know you
Yeah,
didn't do
it was an
purpose.
accident. Yeah, I'm sure he didn't do it on purpose. Yeah.
But yeah, that really wasn't a bad movie itself. It really didn't go over well in the box office at the time.
Mm-mm.
But, there is a cult following for everything.
A lot of people say you should watch it in black and white, which I never have done, because
Right.
you got to adjust everything on the television and everything. But they say that it kind of lends itself toward film noir if you watch
Yeah.
it in black and white.
I mean, as soon as you hear that line, what lurks in the heart of man?
Oh,
the
that's-
shadow
Yeah,
knows.
yeah.
You're like, okay. I sat and listened to 2 hours of the radio show the other day
Yeah.
while I was working around the house.
Those guys had a ball
And they
making that.
and they are the writing. I mean, the main point of it at the end of every episode is crime never pays. It's
Yes.
basically
Yeah.
this is a lesson of this is all the different ways you can commit crime.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
the shadows are gonna catch you, and crime doesn't pay.
Right,
Because blah
right.
blah blah.
Right.
And they even back then made the law enforcement agencies seem like idiots because if it wasn't for the shadow figuring crap out and giving them credit,
Yeah.
because it made them look like idiots half the time.
DC had a big long comic book run on the Shadow,
Mhm.
and I picked up a few of those, and they were okay. But Dynamite had a comic book series with had Garth Ennis, which is one of my favorite writers, write about the Shadow. So I like the Shadow and I like Garth Ennis. So you put those two together, it should be awesome, right? And I was terrible, horrible. I don't know if I think I
Well,
gave them away or something.
You gotta have your heart in us.
Yeah.
His heart
Yeah.
probably wasn't in it.
So that's all the ones you have.
That's all the ones I have. I mean, I can whip out more if you're
You
interested.
can whip out whatever you want, brother. All right, so let's talk about Doc Savage. Have you heard of Doc Savage?
The name sounds familiar.
Have you heard of Doc Savage? Have you heard of Doc Savage? Let's talk about Doc Savage.
Is he the guy that with the crew cut white shirt,
Yes,
always ripped up?
he's a real forgotten hero because there's two old geeks and he's an old character. So he comes from a 1933 book. It was with the pulp books. That's where the Shadow come from as well. Those type of pulp books. A lot of people consider him the first superhero, and everybody admits he was a huge influence on the Superman and Batman characters, which he came long before them. The Doc, he was like an everything man. I mean, he was strong and handsome and smart and virtuous, a lot like you.
No, okay. Thank you.
But Street Smith Publishing was one that put out the books, and a Henry Ralston and a John Hancock was the one who wrote it along with Lester Dent. But he had an Arctic base. He had an Arctic base, and in his Arctic base, you know what he called his Arctic base? The Fortress of Solitude.
Is that right?
Yes, imagine that. And he was also, you heard of the Man of Steel? He was called the Man of Bronze.
Huh.
You know, so that's where they got that. And he also would make gadgets and hold them in his utility belt. So it's real familiar to a lot of Superman and Batman stuff. They made a movie back in 1975 starring Ron Ely called The Man of Bronze. But he's one of those characters that we forget sometimes that there is a generation of geeks that come before us.
Right.
Come before us. And, these guys are in their 70s now, where we're in our 50s. And those guys all know about that generation of geeks all know about the Man of Bronze. And over the years, they've talked about trying to bring the character back. There was even talks of Dwayne Johnson playing the character one time. And
He looks nothing like him.
He looks nothing like him, and yes, I don't think that would be good at all. And but anyway, yeah, that's definitely forgotten. Forgotten hero. I got one more forgotten hero.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute, I forgot about it.
Well, you know how you talk about different generations have their heroes.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's prevalent that, throughout the years, me being a DC fan, our Green Lantern was Hal Jordan.
Yes.
And then there was John Stewart. And then after them was somebody else, Ryan somebody.
Yeah,
but before him, before Hal Jordan, there was the guy that had the big red cape and the yellow floppy shirt.
Yeah, the Golden Age.
I don't even know what his name was
I don't either.
because that was somebody else's Green Lantern. But they were able to keep the Green Lantern going and not really forgotten. And so if you all had any idea of a character that you're interested in that you think most people have forgotten, put it down in the comments. If you got any questions or want us to go in depth about any of these other characters, let us know.
All right, you done?
I'm done.
All right, I think we're done. I appreciate you watching. Please hit that like and subscribe button and that notification bell. And stay geeky, my friends. We're done.
We're done.
We are done.
But not forgotten.
But not forgotten.
Not yet.
I started to bring up Tommy Monahan. He was the hitman in DC, and Garth Ennis wrote that. John McCree did the art. Man, he was fantastic.
Bringing up Azrael or Ragman or
Tarzan.
Mr. Bones. You ever heard of Mr. Bones?
Never heard of Mr. Bones.
There you go.